Hello friends, SentinalH here, and welcome back to our Immersive Engineering tutorial series. Now you may notice that we're in a very different location. We've got like a tutorial island going on here. Well, that's because the world that I was using refuses to load. Yesterday, I couldn't play Minecraft, Java kept crashing, it was ridiculous. Today, after rolling back my version of this particular pack, I was finally able to get a game to launch. I had to make a new world. So anyway, thankfully, we're back and able to record some more Minecraft. It's pretty bad for a Minecraft channel. Anyway, today we're going to take a look at the Revolver from Immersive Engineering, a more civilized weapon for modern times. At least that's what the handbook says. So this is the first ranged weapon that you're probably going to end up acquiring from Immersive Engineering. It's fairly cheap, and the ammo is, well, it's easy to craft, if not all that cheap. As you saw in the last episode, the mining drill can be used as a melee weapon, and now we're taking a look at what a primary ranged weapon. So the revolver is crafted using 2 iron ingots, 2 wooden grips, the revolver barrel, revolver drum, and revolver hammer, which we're going to take a look at how to craft. If you remember in our last episode, we talked about the wooden grip briefly. Wooden grip is 5 treated sticks and a copper ingot. Now, in order to craft these 3 revolver parts, you're going to need steel, quite a bit of it. So if you arrange steel in this sort of a shape, like a diagonal W, like a stairs without the bottom left corner, you'll craft the hammer. If you... Wait, where's... Oh, darn it, I don't have one. I thought I grabbed one. A steel mechanical component. What? Oh, come on. It's iron, really? Iron mechanical component. And surround it with 4 steel ingots, you can make the revolver drum. And if you just arrange 3 steel ingots horizontally, you can make the revolver barrel. Once you have all 3 parts, you can craft them together with some iron to make the revolver. Judging by its appearance, I'm surprised you don't need some more copper. So once you have your revolver, it looks like this in your hand. It's pretty cool. If you see at the bottom right, right where the revolver is, you'll see a little GUI showing the 8 slots in the chamber. This is an 8-shot revolver. If I right-click, you can hear the little sort of clicking sound because we don't have any bullets in it. We're going to look at how to craft bullets a bit later. So for now, we will turn around and take a look at the basic bullets. Because obviously you can't fire the revolver without bullets. So in order to craft your bullets, you're going to need an engineer's workbench, which you should already have at this point. And then you're going to need to craft something else. You're going to need to craft an engineer's blueprint. Now there are certain blueprints in the game that allow the engineer's workbench to be used as a specialized crafting table. Some of them are craftable blueprints, and some of them you have to find in villages or purchase trade from someone down there. It's like a evil NPC. Anyway, some of them you have to trade with villagers for. This particular one you'll be able to craft. This is the Engineer's Blueprint Common Projectiles. You're going to need this to make the basic bullets. You'll need 3 pieces of paper, 3 lapis lazuli, or 3 interchangeable blue dye from other mods, 2 gunpowder, and a copper ingot. You're going to need a lot of gunpowder for obvious reasons. Once you've crafted the blueprint, you can go to your workbench and simply place it in the vice slot, and that'll open up this crafting area where you'll see the 6, well, there's 5 bullets that you can craft. There's 6 recipes, depending. This is compatible with various mods, and a slot for 6 items in a crafting square. So if we take a look, we can see the I got them on the wall here just so you can see the 5 different types of bullets that you can craft, which are the buckshot cartridge, the castle cartridge, which is your basic bullet, your armor piercing cartridge, a silver cartridge, which I guess is good against werewolves according to the manual, and the high explosive cartridge. Okay. Now, before you can craft any of these things, you're going to need some various resources, as well as some basic cartridges, the empty casings and the empty shells. Now, you're going to need copper for this. You're going to need all these different resources. And so let's get started crafting bullets. This is like a gunsmithing tutorial. In order to make empty casings, you'll make them 3 at a time, which are used to make the basic bullets. You'll need to use 5 copper ingots. Now, it's important to note that you don't lose these. When you fire off the bullets, the casings remain, and you can reuse them indefinitely. So once you've crafted a load of casings, you don't have to worry about having to craft more casings unless you lose them somehow. It's the same with the empty shells. However, to craft an empty shell, you need 1 copper ingot, 4 paper, and 2 red dye of various description. There's all kinds of red dye depending on which mods you have installed. And that'll get you some empty shells, okay? And those are also left behind upon firing, which doesn't make a lot of sense since they're made out of paper, but don't think about it too hard. So once you have a good supply of those empty casings and empty shells, you can start making yourself some cartridges. So what I'm going to do is just grab some of these resources, like the gunpowder, the lead, the iron, and grab as many of these as I can. Okay, I can grab all of them. And we'll go in here and start crafting some bullets. Actually, I need to grab myself some more... Where is it? Some more empties. Because I don't have enough. Empty casings and empty shells. 2 stack. A stack of each. Okay. So, if we want to try and craft... first, let's craft a buckshot cartridge. We'll just go down this list in order. The buckshot cartridge, you'll take some empty shells. You'll stick them in there. You'll also need gunpowder and iron dust of some description. You can see there's a bunch of different iron dusts you can use. If you're using Immersive Engineering, you'll end up with iron grit, okay, from the crusher. And then you'll put some gunpowder in. And as soon as you have all the resources in there, the button will light up. And it'll tell you... Wait, where'd my gunpowder go? There it is. How many you can craft. And if you click the button, then you'll craft it. Because I'm in creative mode, it didn't actually take the resources out. So now we have some buckshot cartridges. Now let's say we wanted to craft these Casel cartridges. Well, all we have to do is replace the empty shells with... Oh no, we did lose it. We lost the resources, like we should have. They just didn't disappear out of there immediately. So we got some empty casings and some gunpowder and lead nuggets. So I got some lead nuggets. I need more gunpowder. I'm going to need a lot of this, so let's grab, a ton of gunpowder. I don't need to be crafting crap tons of it. Now, the Casel cartridges require 2 of the lead nuggets, so I can only craft 32 of these. But that's not a problem. It's 32. I don't need that many. And then we can move on to these armor-piercing cartridges, which are essentially the same recipe. They got the empty casing and the gunpowder, but they require some additional items. Now, this recipe down here is the standard Immersive Engineering recipe. 2 steel nuggets and 2 Constantin nuggets. This other one up here is because this current mod pack has Magneticraft installed, and it has tungsten ingots. So depending on which mods you have installed, you may have alternate recipes for these sort of things. So if I want to craft some armor-piercing cartridges using Magneticraft, I can use tungsten, and that'll give me 3 of them. However, if I want to do it the Immersive Engineering way, I'll need some steel nuggets, which I have right here. Put that in there. And some Constantin nuggets. Now, Constantin, we haven't talked about in the past, but Constantin is an alloy that you can make from nickel and copper. Okay? So you'll need to get nickel and copper and throw them through a crusher to get dust and stuff, or use the hammer, and you craft them together to get the Constantin grit, and then smelt it to get actual Constantin. And this is used for some more higher end stuff as well. Okay, so I put that in there, and we'll be able to craft these armor-piercing cartridges. We'll just craft those out, doesn't matter. And there's also silver cartridges, and we're out of cartridges because I've been crafting too many. So we'll just get some room in our inventory and grab some more. So if you craft an absolute ton of these things, you can see that you'll run out of cartridges pretty quickly. Casings, I mean. But you wouldn't craft this many, because you wouldn't need to. Silver cartridges, lead nuggets, and silver nuggets. So, do we have any more lead? We don't have any more lead. Let's put some silver in there, and we'll grab ourselves some more lead nuggets. Alright, we'll just grab like 4. We don't need that many. Silver cartridges. Okay. Now, these are then the high explosive cartridge, which is just gunpowder and TNT, actually. We don't want that many explosive cartridges. Let's not be so crazy. There we go. High explosive cartridges, which is a bit funny, loading those into your revolver. Now, the way that you load your revolver, once you have all these things, let's just go ahead and put a lot of this junk that we don't need anymore back into the chest here. Okay. Castles. Okay. So once you have your bullets that you want to use, just hold shift and right click with your revolver in your hand, and you can manually reload the cylinder. So I can take some castle cartridges and I can place them in there. I could also place some buckshot cartridges in there. So what we're going to do is it rotates in this direction. Is we're going to go ahead and load this up with one of each, and we're going to test them against our a friendly neighborhood spider, because you know we that's the one we usually test these with. Castle, buckshot, silver, armor piercing, and high explosive. Yep, that's 5. So if you look at the GUI in the bottom right now, you can see where each bullet is in the cylinder. So you can keep track of what you're going to fire next. So as you can see, you can load your revolver up with all kinds of different shots, and as long as you're keeping track of what you're firing, you can know what you're doing. So we're going to spawn in a spider, and we're going to shoot it with a standard castle cartridge. And as you can see, that did 5 hearts of damage to the spider. That's pretty good. So we're going to just go ahead and get rid of this spider and spawn another one. Alright, so we'll spawn another spider. And now we'll fire a buckshot cartridge at close range. And he just straight up dies. Okay? I'm going to go back in here, and we're going to adjust this. And I will load a buckshot cartridge into the top again. Now you can see the empty shell and the empty casing are rotating around through the cylinder. Now we're going to test the buckshot again, but this time we're going to step back and fire it at him at a bit of a distance. Now as you can see, he still died. Okay, well you can see the spread is my point. You can see how the spread was. I don't want that. So if you're at a very long distance, buckshot's not going to be as good, but it's very effective at a decent distance. I would still call this to their close range, obviously, but you don't need to be straight up in their face like Call of Duty or something. It's a bit longer range, a bit more realistic. Next, we've got silver. So let's see what that does against our spider. Now, it's probably not going to do a crazy amount of extra damage, because, well, it did the same amount as the castle cartridge. Now, the handbook, the Immersive Engineering book, doesn't give us a whole lot of information about what the silver casings are actually for. It just says better against werewolves. So it may be better against werewolves. It may be better against the undead. You'll just have to test it out and see. Maybe it's better against wolves. Not exactly sure. We could actually try and test that, but I don't know how much health wolves have. Now we've got armor piercing. So the armor piercing bullets are a bit interesting. As you notice, they didn't do any additional damage to this spider, and that's because it does the same amount of damage as the standard castle cartridge. However, it penetrates armor. So if you're fighting armored opponents, the armor piercing cartridge is good. So if you're fighting a player who's wearing armor, or if you're fighting a zombie or skeleton who's wearing armor, or some sort of big mob from a mod that has a lot of armor, the armor piercing bullets are going to be better because they're going to penetrate the armor. But if you're just fighting standard enemies, you're better off just using the basic castle cartridge and not wasting armor piercing rounds. Okay, so keep that in mind. You want to use your armor piercing rounds against targets that actually have armor. Now we're going to use the high explosive round, and you're going to see what that does. It actually is supposed to damage terrain. Now, I'm not sure. I think this mod pack has the explosion terrain damage disabled. So be very careful using high explosive rounds if that's not disabled. in your game, because it will damage terrain. It is an explosion, so be very careful with the high explosive rounds. Okay. Now, if I'm thinking about this, if you wanted to do like a very real world application for this multiple rounds, you may want to do something like this. You may want to alternate loading castle rounds and buckshot rounds. This is actually something that was done with revolvers that could fire shotgun shells like this, is that you would load like 45 ACP, I think that's the round that it used. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been 357 Magnum or something, into every other slot, and you would load a buckshot, an actual shotgun shell, into the other shots, and apparently judges did that and stuff. I don't know. But then you could fire at long range, then getting close for a close range shot. But that's, you know, the stuff that you're doing. So the revolver's firing rate is as fast as you can click the button. You can even hold it down. If you hold it down, it fires slower. If you click it manually, it fires faster. So let's just load in some castle cartridges again. Just whatever. And hold it down, and you'll see how fast it fires. Okay, so it does fire more slowly than if you just rapidly right-click it. But as you can see, you can empty the revolver very quickly indeed. All right. Now, before we go on to the we'll just go on to the more crazy bullets, and then we'll talk about the mods. Now, these 4 rounds are two of them are mod dependent, and then they're all require a different blueprint. So the blueprint that we made over here, the common projectiles blueprint, if you hold shift on it, it'll tell you exactly what it can make. It can make only these 5 basic cartridges. If you want to make these 4 advanced cartridges, you're going to need to acquire the specialized projectiles blueprint, and you can't craft it. If I go in here and hit R, it'll show you that you can find them in dungeon chests at a 2.2% spawn rate, or you can trade for it from various NPCs. Okay, so you're going to need to acquire this some other way. You can't craft it. All right. Now, the 4 rounds you can make are the Dragon's Breath cartridge, the File cartridge, the Homing cartridge, and the Wolfpack cartridge. These are all pretty darn cool, and they have their own resources that you're going to need in order to make them. So let me just put away these basic cartridges so that we have a bit more room in our inventory. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is the File cartridge, because that's very interesting. In order to craft that, we're going to go ahead and grab our empty casings and our empty shells, and then we're going to need glass bottles. We're going to grab all this stuff here, and so we can show you how this works. The File cartridge is, I think, probably the most interesting of these 4, just because it's very utility based. So the File cartridge requires 1 empty casing. Put that in there. It also requires a gunpowder, obviously. It requires a quartz dust and a glass bottle. Now, you can get quartz dust by putting nether quartz into the crusher from Immersive Engineering, and that'll give you this quartz dust. So once you got all that in there, you can craft yourself a File cartridge. Now, by default, the File cartridge doesn't actually do anything. If I go ahead and load this into my revolver... Oh, hello, spider. That's almost dead. We're going to spawn one that's not almost dead. If I shoot it with the File cartridge, the File cartridge didn't actually fire. See how that's working there? That's because the File cartridge is special. It's a utility cartridge. So what you do is you go into a crafting station, and you can add potions to it, which I think is really awesome. So any potion that you can craft, I think any potion, maybe if it's a mod potion it might not work, but all the vanilla potions can be placed inside the File cartridge, including healing potions and other various buff potions. So if I were to place a potion of healing in here, it would turn red and become a File cartridge of instant health too. If I was to place a splash potion of poison, it would become a poison, a splash File cartridge. Now this is important because the normal potions, the ones you have to drink, you have to hit the target directly in order for it to be effective. However, if you use a splash potion in the recipe, then it has an area of effect. Now, the spider didn't get poisoned. I assume because spiders might actually be immune to poison. I'm not 100% on that. But if we go into the inventory of brewing and we grab ourselves some sort of a nasty potion, let's see what we'll find here. A potion of decay. How about that? That sounds pretty nasty. And we craft that into our file cartridge, and we load that into our gun. Now you'll notice that the file cartridge is of course consumed down to an empty casing. So not only do you have to craft the file cartridge itself, you have to craft the potion that goes in it. So I hit this guy with decay, and now he's affected with the decay. So the file cartridge is used to apply status effects. However, if I were to go in here and grab another one, just grab a file cartridge and put it in here and put potion of healing in there, we will see if we can heal. Oh, spider died. So we're going to spawn another spider. I'm going to punch him a bit to deal some damage, and we're going to shoot him with this file cartridge with instant healing. So you can see that it didn't actually work because we can't apparently heal mobs. But as you can get the gist of that. If you're fighting along with a player and you have like others in your group, you could actually be a support shooter and shoot file cartridges with various health vials in it at your friends in order to heal them, which is funny because Overwatch recently got a support sniper that does the exact same thing. So that'll be interesting. So that's the file cartridge. I think it's a very, very interesting. And if you can think of any awesome uses for it, totally let me know in the comments because it sounds cool. Now we're going to move on to the Dragon's Breath cartridge. The Dragon's Breath cartridge has two recipes that are basically the same. One of them requires aluminum dust. The other one can use aluminum grit, smashed aluminum ore, because there's Flaxbeard steam power in this mod pack, and various things. So just aluminum of varying descriptions from different mods will work. So for this we need empty shells, plus gunpowder, plus aluminum grit. I have some aluminum grit right here. So we're not going to craft that many. We're just going to put we're going to craft like 3 of them. Okay? So we're going to load these in here, take those empties out, load in the Dragon's Breaths, and we're going to see what happens. So that spider is injured, so we're going to use a non-injured spider, and we're going to shoot him with this thing. Okay? This is a shotgun shell, so it's close range. Boom. As you can see, it just lit him on fire. So the Dragon's Breath cartridges light mobs on fire. They don't deal very much initial impact damage, but obviously whatever you hit with it is going to start burning. So that's pretty cool. So that's what the Dragon's Breath cartridges do. They launch little fire that lights things on fire, which is actually what Dragon's Breath does in real life. Next we have the homing cartridge and the Wolfpack cartridge. They're very similar in what they do. So if you want to craft a homing cartridge, you're going to need Botania. This is a Botania specific addition to Immersive Engineering, because you need Terra Steel nuggets. So we need empty casings, and we're going to put some Terra Steel nuggets in here. Now, you need 3 per shot, or 2 per shot, to get yourself some homing cartridges. I'm going to actually craft 5 of them, and you'll see why in a minute. So we're going to load one in. We're going to spawn a spider. We're going to step back, and we're going to shoot him. Now, the thing about the homing cartridge is it dealt 5 damage, so the same damage as a standard castle round. However, it does have a homing feature. It will home in on the nearest enemy. So I'm actually going to, we're going to fire this again. Another homing cartridge. We're not even going to aim right at the spider. And you can see the bullet. The bullet moved and it shot him. So if you're going to be fighting something that is fast moving and difficult to hit, I can imagine things like wisps, or if you're going to fight ghasts, homing cartridges could be very useful. However, Terra Steel is very expensive and difficult to get your hands on in the early game, so definitely a later game weapon. However, the Wolfpack cartridge, that's even crazier. It requires 4 homing cartridges to craft. And I'm missing one, so because I fired another one. So let's just grab one out of here because I don't want to craft it. Wait, what is going on here? Oh, it requires empty shells. Empty shell, gunpowder, and 4 homing cartridges will give you the Wolfpack cartridge. Now, the Wolfpack cartridge is crazy. So we're going to spawn a couple of spiders, and we're just going to load the Wolfpack cartridge in, and we're going to fire it. Oh, I forgot how it worked. Never mind. So what it does is it packs in 4 homing cartridges. However, they don't actually come out of the shell until it impacts something. So if I shoot the spider directly, you can see what just happened there. Did you see that? As soon as the bullet hit a surface, in this case it hit the spider, it shot out 4 of those homing bullets that then homed in on nearby enemies. So this spider took a hit, and I don't know, maybe this spider took a hit. We'll just, that one did not take a hit actually. You know, we'll just... What the heck? Kind of a sound was that? Okay, that was the creepiest thing I've ever heard in Minecraft. Oh, what was that? No idea. That's beyond the scope of this. We're going to fire one more wolf pack just so that you can see what happened. Well, as soon as it hits, those 4 bullets shot out and homed in. What the heck kind of a sound is that? I don't like it. Okay, spider, you need to go away. Do I have any more bullets? Yeah, you know what? Die. Ugh, still alive. Here. Eat dragon's breath. Die. There. So, the Wolfpack cartridge is pretty expensive, but it does pack a bit of a punch. Very interesting. So that's where that goes. So those are all the bullets that you can craft. I'm just going to put all this junk away, and we're done with that. Now, you may have noticed a few things in my inventory, and we got that other area over here. I'm going to grab... I thought I had a bunch of standard bullets kicking around somewhere. Yeah, we're going to grab like 20 of these bullets. And we're going to come over here and check out the mods. So just like the mining drill, there are mods. Now, the Revolver Speed Loader is actually a special edition. It's not a mod. You don't attach it to the weapon. You hold it in your inventory. If you look here, it's in my inventory. If I hold shift, I can go into it, and I can actually load bullets into it like I would with the actual revolver. So now the speed loader has rounds in it. Now, if I take the rounds out of here... Did you see what happened? As soon as I right-click to fire with an empty gun, the speed loader loaded the bullets in all at once. Let's try that again. Pull that out. We're actually going to stick these empty casings back in so we can see what happens when we do it that way. But if you have a speed loader or multiple speed loaders with ammo in it, then your revolver will just reload. See, isn't that amazing? So you don't even have to take the empty casings out. As soon as your gun runs dry and you right click, it will reload the gun from an available speed loader. So if you have a couple of these, you can have a lot of bullets ready and waiting to fire. And you can fire for quite a while and maintain sustained fire. Because honestly, reloading manually in the middle of a fight, not going to happen. It's definitely not recommended to do. So speed loaders, very, very cool. Now, the way to craft a speed loader is simply with 4 iron ingots and 1 steel ingot in the shape of a sideways T. So it's not that expensive. It's actually very cheap. So you could grab a couple of these, load them up, and then you'll have a lot of bullets to fire down range very quickly. Now, these other 3 are mods that you can put on the revolver itself. However, if we go into the workbench and stick our revolver in it, there's only 2 mod slots on the revolver. So you can't place all 3 of these on it. You can only use 2. So the first one, and the simplest one, is the bayonet. Now, by default, the revolver doesn't have a melee damage bonus. So you can hit people with it, but it's just the same as hitting them with your fists. However, if we add the bayonet, we suddenly get plus 6 attack damage. The way to craft it is with an iron sword, 2 steel ingots, and a treated wood plank. So essentially, you're strapping an iron sword onto your revolver. So if I stick the bayonet on it, for one, you can see it strapped underneath the barrel. Now, if we go ahead and I put my spawn spider away, and we spawn a spider, and I left click and beat him with it, you can see we did 3.5 hearts. So this will allow you to carry the equivalent of an iron sword on your revolver. So if you run out of bullets and you still have an enemy there, you can just beat him with it in the face. Or if you shoot the enemy and he's almost dead and you don't want to waste another bullet, just bash him in the face with it. Okay, without having to swap to a melee weapon. So if you don't want to carry a dedicated melee weapon around with you, you could just use the bayonet. So that can be very useful. Next we have the extended magazine, which I'm not sure how this works because this is a revolver, but it adds additional shots to your gun. So to craft the extended magazine, you need an iron mechanical component, a steel ingot, and 4 copper ingots. And that'll give you the extended magazine. So we can attach this to our revolver using the workbench. And then if we pull it out, we can see that there's an extension attached to the cylinder. Again, I have no idea how this is supposed to work. But we can now go ahead, and if we hold shift, we can fill the cylinder with bullets, and we can fill the extended magazine with 6 additional bullets. And then as we fire them off, you can see that it drains from the extended mag, and then we get to the end. Now, if we load up our speed loader, I need some more of those bullets, so let's just grab some more. If we load up our speed loader and right click, you can see that it prioritizes loading the extended magazine portion first. You see that? Now, what I want to check for you guys, because I'm such a terrific guy, is what happens if you have enough bullets in speed loaders to completely reload even with the extended magazine. The question here is, will it load the entire thing? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're empty, and then right click. No, that didn't actually happen. So if you have the extended magazine, your speed loaders will still reload it, but you're only going to get the full size of your gun. You're only going to get the full 8 plus 6 shots if you load it manually. So a bit disappointing that you can't reload the entire thing at once with the extended magazine in place. However, you might want the extended magazine if you want those extra 6 shots before you have to start reloading. But I don't know if I would use it because the speed loaders are effectively extended magazines already. So we'll go ahead and we'll remove these mods. Now, there's also one more, the amplifier electron tubes. Okay? Now these are very interesting. These add shock damage to your revolver. Okay? So you can craft this using 2 electrum wire coils. So it's not cheap. And 5 glass blocks. So it's not a cheap upgrade. Let's see what it looks like. Well, what it looks like is something out of BioShock. So we've got these little electron tubes sticking out the side. So remember that our revolver usually does 5 hearts of damage to the spider with these bullets. Now the spider appears to have some sort of status effect. It doesn't seem to be doing additional damage to the spider, but you can see there's some sort of status effect on there. If we go into the engineer's manual and we take a look at the electron tube, it applies an electric shock to fired projectiles. The shock persists until it hits the target and is passed on. The target will be stunned for a fraction of a second, and all powered equipment they may be using will suffer a slight discharge. So, the main purpose of this is that it stuns briefly. However, if you're fighting a player and they have some sort of equipment on that has an electric charge in it, it's a variety of things, especially in some other mod packs, it'll cost some of their electricity, some of their power. So it's a free mod to just attach because it's not going to affect your ammo in any way. It just briefly stuns the enemy when you shoot them. So that's pretty useful, actually. I quite like it. I doubt I would use the extended magazine because of the speed loaders. So if I had to tell you what setup I would run the revolver with, it's probably going to be the bayonet and the electron tubes. Now, I forgot to mention this in the episode about the mining drill, but you may have noticed it then, and you probably notice it now. There's an additional slot on the right for both of these items. What is it? Well, this is actually a cosmetic upgrade slot. If we scroll to the bottom here in Immersive Engineering, you'll see there's a whole bunch of these things called shaders. Now, you can't craft these. You have to find them in chests and possibly trade for them from villagers. There's different ones that look different. The color of the actual shader informs you as to what it'll actually look like when you apply it. So we got one here for Shark Face. I think these are like some of these are from. We got one from Mass Fusion. We got one that I believe is Vault Tech right here from Fallout. And some of these I think are like contributors or something like that. If we place it on there, it'll paint our revolver and color it according to that color scheme. So that's all these do. So it's not that big of a deal, but that's what that slot is, just so you know. You're not missing out on any useful mod. They're just cosmetics. So I know this episode has lasted quite a while, quite a long one, but there's a lot to talk about with all this ammo types that you can use for the revolver. So the revolver is definitely a cool weapon. It looks cool, it's got a lot of functionality, and the ability to make your own ammo really allows you to customize the ammo that you use for your situation. And as you saw, you can load your gun and your speed loaders with any combination of rounds in any order, and it always runs through it in a clockwise fashion. So I hope you enjoyed this episode on the revolver. Stay tuned for future episodes. Hopefully my Minecraft will keep working and it won't mess up on me. We're going to have some interesting fun with the Revolution Let's Play series coming up. I hope you enjoy that. I'll be streaming on Friday instead of a normal upload, so it'll be around the same time. We'll start streaming about 5 o'clock Eastern Standard, 5 p.m. and I hope you can be there to check it out because Revolution 3 just dropped. So we're gonna have a bit of a build stream. So stay tuned for that. I'm SentinalH, and I'm signing out.